Hi, my name is Elizabeth McPherson, and this is my Module 5 presentation, Understanding My Community, for Junction City Middle in Geary County, Kansas. So a little bit of a look at Geary County and Junction City Middle. We are really a combined community with the Fort Riley military post. So a large portion of our community comes from the military. Um, its first the first post buildings were put up in 1852. So it has been an active military installation for quite a bit. 60% of our students at Junction City Middle and in Geary County schools are affiliated with the military, so more than half. Most of our students experience a pretty transient lifestyle. Most of them are only in school for a couple years before their family moves again. At the middle school level at Junction City, most of them have been to 2 or 3, maybe more schools by the time they get to middle school, especially 7th and 8th graders can have been quite a few places before they come. Many of our students are experiencing deployment, so most of our military folk at Fort Riley are deployable, and many soldiers take regular rotations of about 9 months. So our students are experiencing a lot of separation from family members that they love, especially overseas and to kind of war climate. And we do have a lot of young families because of the military community. So the average age for Fort Riley and the Junction City community is about 26. So it is a relatively young community. So right outside Fort Riley, we have Junction City. So it had its roots at about 1858. So you can kind of see by these timelines that Junction City was really kind of built to support and in conjunction with Fort Riley. There are lots of military memorials, lots of museums, lots of really rich military history that Junction City offers. Kind of known as Fort Riley's hometown. So me as a military spouse, especially when people say where I say I live on Fort Riley. That's Junction City, Kansas. So it's kind of that home for the post. It is one of the most culturally diverse communities in Kansas, especially because of the military post. There's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of different backgrounds and heritages that represent the families that live in this area as compared to Kansas as a whole. And it's a very outdoor and adventurous culture. There's lots of trails and places to go, especially in the Riley County neighborhood, which is neighboring Geary County. There's just lots of kind of an outdoor, adventurous kind of air, lots of fishing, lots of hunting, lots of kind of games and sport that happen around our area. So a lot of the Junction City community is a very family-oriented community. I have not lived here very long, but I've kind of felt myself a close-knit feel to Junction City. There's a lot of community connections. A lot of people know other people. A lot of businesses are connected, especially now with the quarantine. I've seen a lot of things on social media connecting different businesses and people for support. So that aspect is really strong in the community. And I think the connection between the school system, the communities of Junction City and Geary County and the post community are really, the connection there is really important to people. So in as far as Junction City Middle School, the school itself, I believe that we kind of tie into the beliefs of our community as well. So our district motto is whatever it takes. I believe that that follows along with some of that local support and community connection that's around us. We really do whatever we can to support the growth and development of students at our school. We have a good kind of foothold on teamwork. I believe that Junction City Middle really has a tradition or a quality of working together to make sure things are getting done. A community of professionalism, doing our job, doing it well, serving our students well, and really Geary County as a whole kind of toting some quality of excellence. I moved into the Geary County area last summer and chose Geary County over some other job options because of the reputation that I knew they had for the quality of excellence and especially some of the good things I'd heard about Junction City Middle School. So getting to kind of the Geary County schools, which is what Junction City Middle falls in, we are USD 475. We support Fort Riley, the Post, Junction City, Grandview Plaza, and Milford. There are 13 elementary schools, so 4 of those elementary schools are actually on post at Fort Riley. There are 2 middle schools total, and one of them is on post and one of them is off post. So I work at the off post Junction City site. And then we have one high school, which it serves all of the high schoolers in Geary County, and it is off post. So we have about 52% minority enrollment. We're just over 7,000 students and about 565 teachers. So we're the second most diverse school district in Kansas. Again, this comes from that military post. We're just, it's kind of a melting pot with the people that are coming in and being PCS'd here from different locations. There's a 13-to-1 teacher-student ratio. The average teacher salary is about $48,000, and annually, the Geary County Schools spends about $94 million on students. So we really focus on trying to improve our education and opportunities for students and have the budget that shows that. So looking at the people that make up our community. So Fort Riley is basically a city in and of itself. Well, it is a city, but there's about 7,800 people that live on Fort Riley. And when you look at the statistics, there's actually something close to about 15,000 people that call Fort Riley some sort of their day, whether they come on post to work, but they don't actually physically live there, or they come for training or with the military personnel that they kind of need to rotate through. You know, any given operational day, there's about 15,000 people that are actually on the post. There's about 7,800 people that reside there and live there. Junction City is close to 19,000, 18,886, and the county as a whole is about 28,000. So the way that I've kind of broken up a lot of the statistics in this presentation is looking at the post, our city, Junction City, which is where Junction City Middle is, and then the county. To be honest, as you look at the statistics, I think it's pretty interesting how similar a lot of them are, because you can really see how the post has kind of developed the community in the county. So the educational level of the city of Junction City, there's a 94% rate of high school graduates or with a higher degree. So of those 94% with a high school degree, 46 of them do have some college classes or an associate's degree. 22% of Junction City has a bachelor's degree, and then the dropout rate is about 6%. So again, the community is pretty young. The average age for Fort Riley is 22%. So being that it's the 1st Infantry Division, we do have a lot of young kind of soldiers, new enlisted, so that makes sense. Junction City is just a little bit higher at 26, and the county matches that. So overall, you can see that this is that transient military life kind of affecting some of those median values. So Fort Riley has a little bit of a different background or diverse makeup than Junction City. So Fort Riley is about 61% white, 17% has Hispanic or Latino, 15% Black or African American. Junction City, there's a little bit more specifics on the breakdown. 52% white, 21% Hispanic, 14% African American, 13.6 Hispanic or Latino, 7%, which is one or more, so 2 of these categories, 3% Asian, and 2% African or American Indian, excuse me. So you can see that the community as a whole, I think compared to Kansas as a state, does have some pretty diverse people groups. So the opportunities that our community has are really, really rich because, again, being a military community. So the military does drive a lot of the community outreach that can happen for students. So a large percentage of our students utilize the Child and Youth Services through the military. So these programs range anywhere from childcare before and after school to deployment services for single parents or children maybe living with family members while their parent is deployed. They provide summer recreation, fall, winter sport recreation. They provide classes. They provide education for students. Child and Youth Services is a really huge and broad organization that really comes alongside military families and offers them that extra support they need, especially when a parent or caregiver is deployed. Many, many, many of my Junction City Middle students use Child and Youth Services. There's a military and family life consultant that is available on post and for families who live off post, just to kind of support and provide guidance as they transition maybe into Fort Riley, out of Fort Riley. There's a family readiness group. So every unit has a family readiness group that just kind of promotes community. They provide picnics and get-togethers and resources, especially like mental health resources, financial resources, counseling, things like that. Just kind of the name says it, readiness group. They just kind of help soldiers prepare and be ready for whatever kind of military life throws at them. And then there is a family advocacy program. So this ranges anywhere from just kind of basic, simple needs, someone to reach out to really kind of family preservation, maybe if there's some child abuse or neglect concerns, they kind of step in there. So those are good resources from our military community. So our Junction City community has a lot of options too. So Junction City Recreation runs a lot of different programs, and they have the 12th Street Community Center. A lot of kids go here to play basketball, do their rec stuff, hang out. It's a really cool community resource for kids to spend time together in a healthy way. There is an organization called Young Professionals of Junction City. This is a really cool community group that they actually presented to the teachers of our district at the beginning of the year, just encouraging the people of Junction City who are professionals to get together and better the community. So again, Junction City is a very young community, and so this is just a group of business people with kind of similar goals to better the community. We do have a lot of organizations that focus on kind of social and emotional health. Pawnee is our mental health service in the community. St. Francis works closely with DCF just for some family preservation and support. So a lot of families can gain a lot of resources through these two offerings. The YMCA is in town. There's lots of local churches who run youth groups or support groups, anything like that. Especially now during COVID, a lot of organizations providing meals and resources for family. And then Geary County does have a historical society, being a military community. They provide a lot of really cool, rich heritage and kind of military history opportunities for people in the community. So in terms of Junction City Middle School, some of the community opportunities at our school for parents are to join the PTO or support the Booster Club. They can become club sponsors with a school staff, so they can participate in maybe something that their child is interested in, come into school, get involved in some of the after school groups. And there's always volunteering for our parents. They can come and be a part of our school community through supporting teachers, coming to the office and asking, helping with some projects, volunteering to go on field trips, things like that. Our students get involved in community and peer groups through team sports, school clubs, and student government. So all three of these organizations not only have a focus on bettering our school community, but a focus on bettering the Junction City community. So all of these kind of groups participate in activities that better our community. And our staff has opportunities to participate through committees in our district. There are opportunities to participate on different leadership committees, on academic curriculum committees, to have our voice be heard. The school board meetings are always a great opportunity to just be a part of what the school is doing and how it's impacting not only the school but the community. And then something really cool that I kind of put on a couple slides is that our superintendent has listening sessions. So these are kind of small groups of people that come together and talk with the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and some of the key players in the district to just have a say and a voice and an understanding of what's happening in our school and our community. So the leadership at Fort Riley, it's the 1st Infantry Division here at Fort Riley, and so the commanding Major General is General Kolashevsky. He is supported by a huge team of military personnel that kind of make the fort run smoothly and connect our base with the military bases across the country and ultimately Washington, D.C. And some of the leadership characteristics that I feel like the leadership at Fort Riley really demonstrate is that obviously knowledge of military. I think Fort Riley does a really good job of connecting our post to the greater military community and really making the things relevant and important for the soldiers here. And I also think that they do a really good job of direct and involved leadership. So I think that the command at Fort Riley is very hands-on, very knowledge, and very kind of driven and straightforward towards leadership. And I think that's really huge for the Post. The leadership in Junction City is the mayor, Jeff Underhill. He's supported by the vice mayor and the city commissioners. And some of the leadership characteristics demonstrated from the mayor's office in Junction City are community involvement, a big emphasis on getting the community together, partnering, and teamwork towards a better community. Honesty in what's happening in the community and how the schools and the Post can all be connected. Management and leadership, just doing a great job of keeping kind of ducks in a row and organizing the city, and communicating. There's a ton of communication avenues that the city uses to make sure that the community is connected. And then when we get to our district in specific, Junction City Middle, but the superintendent is Dr. Eggleston. He's supported by amazing staff at the district level, associate superintendents, an assistant, director of student support, chief operations officer, chief information officer, a financial officer, and then kind of an executive team for special education, personnel services, and teaching and learning. So some of the characteristics that I've kind of seen come from Dr. Eggleston and from maybe our district as a whole is communication. I really think that one of the things Dr. Eggleston has done well is trying to make sure all the stakeholders, not only within the school district, but the community and the Post, are on the same page and communicating and making tough decisions. I think one of the things I've seen Dr. Eggleston do well is make a decision, do it gracefully, do it respectfully, understanding who's involved and the stake that they have in his decision, but also ultimately making that decision as a leader. So I think that's been really good for the district. And then our school specifically, Junction City Middle, our principal is Heather Entrick. There are 3 assistant principals that she's supported by for each grade. We have awesome attendance specialists and kind of front office manager, athletic director, and student support monitors. So some of the characteristics I see that coming out of the leadership at Junction City Middle are that we kind of model that family-oriented mindset that Junction City has as a community. Ms. Entrick does a great job of listening to the needs of teachers and kind of communicating that at her level. And I think Junction City leadership does a good job of thinking outside the box. What are we doing maybe that's a little bit non-traditional that can support students in a new and unique way? So the employment of Junction City is, the unemployment is around 5%. And again, this matches really closely with the county. The unemployment rate for the county is about 5%. There's really not an unemployment rate for Fort Riley because every household on Fort Riley is employed through the United States military. So while they may have maybe someone in their home who is not currently working, every household, if they are living on post, is employed in some way through the United States Army. So the employers in the area obviously are the Army as the biggest one, but the city and the county hold quite a large portion of employment opportunities. The school district, we have a rather large presence by Dillon's and Walmart that provide a lot of jobs and resources for our community. CenturyLink and Smithfield Foods also provide a large opportunity for employment. Some of our agriculture and commerce opportunities are being in Kansas, being in kind of the middle America. We have a lot of ag and bio-based product opportunities for production and manufacturing. So in Geary County, there's about 35,000 people and the poverty rate is about 15%. So the average household income is about 48,000. It is less than the mean for the United States. Fort Riley is just a little bit under that at 37,000, and the county as a whole is a little bit over it. So you can kind of see that Geary County is just kind of in the middle of Junction City is kind of in the middle of where Fort Riley is and Geary County is. The property value on Fort Riley is government housing, so the value there is a little bit undetermined. Junction City is about 140 and Geary County is about 148,000 for housing. So our political structure at school is that Fort Riley houses Geary Community Schools. So the Post doesn't have its own network of schools. It uses Geary County schools. USD 475 is funded from state aid and a lot of military funding support that they get. So again, that structure really depends on the connection between these 3 pieces. The Post connecting with Junction City, connecting with Geary County, and our neighbor Riley County, where a lot of our soldiers live. Manhattan is super close to Post. it's technically Riley County, and so Geary and Riley work very closely together to serve military families. So there is a little bit of social tension, I think, between the Post and the city, between Manhattan or Riley County and the city, just in terms of policies and procedures, how the post runs, being a closed post, needing ID to get on, some of the rules that function on Fort Riley that don't kind of translate into regular kind of American city living. So that just kind of that always that tension between the on post, off post kind of conversation. Do you live on post? Do you work on post? Kind of just some of the stigma and the pieces that come with on post, off post. I also think that the rank structure provides a lot of social tension. So again, there are a lot of lower enlisted here at Fort Riley, a lot of infantry soldiers, but there are also some officers, some higher officials, and so there can be some kind of tension, I think, especially maybe between families as we kind of navigate that rank structure, which happens, I think, on every post, but it's just maybe a little bit more evident kind of living and working there. So again, that discrimination, there have been some issues in surrounding cities with there being some kind of tension with military members, some physical altercations, things that have happened between non-military and military personnel. And I think that there's always kind of that good school, bad school conversation, people wanting to be going to certain schools, wanting to get enrolled in certain schools. Geary County has a pretty good reputation for having good schools across the board, but it's still definitely kind of a status builder for some people as to what school they're going to. And so I also think that just in 2020, the presence of social media, the opportunity for our information to be kind of at our fingertips has just increased some tension. There's always the opportunity for you to make a comment on Facebook or, blast someone here or there. And I think with that opportunity comes a lot more tension. So Fort Riley has a lot of ways of sharing their information. They use town hall meetings, which are kind of what I would equate to almost our school board meetings, just an opportunity for the leaders to get together and share information with Fort Riley. They have websites and social media pages. They put out a newspaper, and they do delegate official communication for offices. So the housing office has their own communication. The maintenance has their own communication. The food service has their own communication. So there are kind of branches that communicate in their own way. Junction City also has a website and social media pages and use the Junction City Post for a lot of news communication. And our school district and Junction City Middle School have a website and social media pages. We use the Board of Education meetings to communicate information, and Junction City Middle has a newsletter that we put out. So our power structure kind of is pretty typical. Our school board makes district business decisions, is in charge of adopting all the policies, and helps kind of develop and operate the schools from a day-to-day perspective, making some of those kind of bigger decisions. At the district level, we have people helping us make curriculum decisions, make decisions about special education for all students, technology, and making some personnel decisions for school. And then at our school level at Junction City Middle, we have control of some of the staffing, who teaches what and where, some of the curriculum choices, and what some of the extracurricular opportunities that we provide students. So I do think that there is a little bit of a racial awareness for our community. Again, we have maybe a larger racial diversity than the state of Kansas as a whole. So just understanding that maybe comes with some different responsibilities, as we maybe aren't as typical quote unquote Kansas due to the military base. And so again, what military influences have on who is here. So we get a lot of soldiers who meet a spouse overseas or in a different country, start families. We have lots of soldiers who are deployed to other countries and have family members with different origins. And so the military really kind of does make Fort Riley and Junction City a little bit of a melting pot. And so blending that into the school and making sure we understand that there is a large diversity of our students, and that can and maybe will raise issues that we as staff members need to be diligent to address. So the way that we kind of measure the public opinion is, again, through those superintendent listening sessions. He offers different sessions for teachers, parents, and the community to come in and hear what the district's doing and to have a voice and have an opportunity to speak kind of at the highest level as to their concerns or maybe their praises about our school district. The Board of Education meetings are public. You can attend them. With COVID-19. They've been streaming them. You can make comments in the comment box. It's just a really engaged kind of opportunity for the community to participate in education. Our superintendent has done television interviews to update the public on what's happening in the district, share the really positive things that we're doing. And now with COVID-19, I think we've had even a greater opportunity to measure public opinion. We've been sending out questions on Facebook. We've been sending out surveys through email. We've been really trying to gather information on how kids, students, parents are doing during this stay-at-home time in education. So I kind of like to refer that as to the ear to the ground season. I think our district staff is doing a really good job of actively listening and providing opportunities for the public to share how they're feeling during this time. And we do send out different surveys throughout the year to staff, families, just kind of gathering how everyone's feeling. So I thought this was a really good presentation. I enjoyed learning more about my community and school, and I hope that it gave you a little insight into Junction City Middle.